Hello, wrestling fans. Blake Smith from Walking the Ropes, and welcome to another episode of Walking the Ropes Wrestling Review for AEW Dynamite from Boston, Massachusetts. To open the show, we had the first ever meeting between Christian Cage and Adam Cole in singles competition, that is. They start out slow, feeling each other out and almost testing where the other will go. Cole takes a cheap shot and starts to wear down Cage, and they spill to the outside, and Cole sends Cage into the steps and remains in control. Cole looks like he will end it at any time now when Cage slowly starts to come back, sending Cole outside and soaring over the top post to the floor. They continue the back and forth action, and Cole uses the ref for separation and then pokes the eye out and lowers the boom for the win. Red Dragon jumps Cage after the match, and Jurassic Express comes out to even the score. Cole goes to leave, but Adam Page makes his way to the ring and rips the mic out of Cole's hand while he's speaking. He gets right in his face and challenges him to a match next week, a Texas death match to be specific. Cole backs out of the ring and leaves. I'm very excited to see where this goes. The match was actually very good. They did very well, and Cage even kicked out of the boom at one point. It was very well done. For my WTR scale, I gave this a great. We then get an Owen Hart Foundation tournament men's side this time. Samoa Joe versus Max Caster, and Joe's making his AEW debut. He makes his way to the ring for the first time ever, and he has an opportunity to get into a huge tournament. Max Caster runs his normal shtick as he always does, and he's so very good at it. You love to hate him, and he's so good on the mic. I don't know that Caster quite understands what he's getting himself into tonight, though, as he quite literally pokes the bear, and Joe wastes no time hitting that big man offense that he is the only one can do. Caster then gets some space and goes to the outside, but Joe sprints and hits a big elbow drop to the outside. And then drops Caster back in the ring and back into the corner, where he, yes, finally hits the Muscle Buster, one of my absolute favorite finishers, and Joe qualifies for the Owen. Sanjay Dutt and Jay Lethal appear on the screen, and before the match, we were shown a video package of them turning heel at Supercard of Honor on Friday. They say that Lethal is doing whatever he wants now and says for months he called Joe, but they got no answer. And they say next week that because they didn't know he was coming, they're going to have a present for him. For my WTR scale, I gave this whole thing a great. It was so great. I loved every bit of it. They just it was so well done. The Blackpool Combat Club talks about their matches on Friday. Moxley is once again taking on Yuta. I'm fairly certain we've had that match before, and I'm okay with it again. I'm just pretty sure we have had the match before. Bryan takes on Trent Beretta, and they are going to continue their path of violence, is what they say. For my WTR scale, I give this a good, sorry. We then get Captain Sean Dean versus Sean Spears, and MJF joins commentary as he holds a loss against Sean Dean with the help of CM Punk. I believe that was MJF's first loss ever. Spears starts out strong as the arena fills with Wardlow chants, and Spears hits a brutal neck breaker and then sets up for the C4, but something's going on backstage, and showing security has been taken out. Wardlow is once again beating his way through the security to the ringside area and makes a beeline to MJF. With all the confusion, Sean Dean rolls up Spears and gets the win. Wardlow smiles, so he's clearly okay with what went on. Even though he didn't get the desired effect, he still got an effect that was good enough for him. For my WTR scale, I gave this a great, because this is just, I've been waiting for this, and I can't wait for Wardlow to get his hands on MJF. We then get the best friends talking about the Blackpool Combat Club, but they first turn to Yuta, who is the Pure Wrestling Champion now. Trent calls him a traitor and tells him that he will make an example of Bryan to prove to Yuta who he is bailing on. For my WTR scale, I gave this a good. This was very interesting because the best friends are finally, like, Yuta's still hanging out with the best friends, but he has clearly wanted to separate from them. We are then shown Santana and Ortiz and Eddie Kingston beating down the Jericho Appreciation Society and making them run from the building earlier tonight. Then in the ring, Kingston, Ortiz, and Santana call out the Jericho Appreciation Society and call them all cowards, and they put them on notice that they will get them on sight. They tell them to bring their best fight, and next week they challenge them to a 6-man tag match, and I cannot wait. My WTR scale, I gave this segment a great. We then get a tables match. The Hardy Boys, the Hardys versus the Butcher and the Blade. This will be an epic match as it is right in the Hardys' wheelhouse. The Butcher and the Blade waste no time getting tables even before the Hardys are out of the stage. But then here come the Hardys, and the action is non-stop as the Blade and Jeff go one-on-one in the ring. And Blade goes through a table, but as commentary explains, it is old school tables rules. It must be an offensive maneuver that gets the win, but both members have to go through a table, not simultaneously. It can be one or another, and so it's elimination style. The Hardys almost get an elimination with a double team, but the Blade makes a save, and Jeff gets put through a table and is eliminated. Matt has to fight one-on-one, or one-on-two now, and I don't like his odds. Jeff, though, helps wherever he can, though he is eliminated. This is no DQ, so that's fine. Matt then gets a big leg drop, sending the Butcher through a big table, eliminating him. The Butcher and the Blade then set up for a superplex off of the barricade through a table, but Jeff moved the table and saved the match while not necessarily saving his brother. Jeff then grabs a ladder and beats the Butcher down, and then Matt sets the Blade up on the tables, and Jeff climbs on up and hits a swanton bomb through the table for the win. Well, technically this shouldn't have gotten the win. I don't really care. It still works, and it's a win. After the match, the AFO make their way to the ring, and Sting is out to make the save with his trusty bat. It is interesting to note that Darby was not there. I imagine he might be resting from his match with Andrade, but who knows. Andrade uses the bunny to hide to be able to leave. We then, for my WTR scale, I gave this a great. It was very well done. Jurassic Express and Christian Cage talk. Well, Cage actually kind of gets pissed off and leaves, and then Jungle Boy takes care of it and addresses Red Dragon and says that Red Dragon's record is not quite good enough to challenge for the tag titles, but they're okay with challenging Red Dragon to a match next week and putting the titles on the line. For my WTR scale, I gave this a good. I'm looking forward to this match. It's going to be very, very exciting. Rosa and Nyla talk about their upcoming match, and they both look ready to brawl. I'm very excited for this match. They are two very different style women, and it's very interesting to watch them in the ring. For my WTR scale, I gave that a good. Toni Storm and Jamie Hayter talk about potentially facing off in the Owen. Jamie says that she deserves to win, and Toni says that it's only just begun for her. And for my WTR scale, I gave this a great because these two are very, very good in the ring and underrated, in my opinion. Jamie Hayter is. And I'm excited to see this, and I think Toni Storm might be the front runner to win the Owen this for AEW here, and I'm excited. So very excited. Speaking of the Owen, we get another women's qualifier, Julia Hart versus Hikaru Shida. And Julia looks very different, not necessarily in her visual aspect, but in her actual demeanor. She even kicks the Varsity Blondes to the back after choking Sheida with her jacket. Sheida excuse me, quickly comes back and beats down Julia until, once again, Julia's brutal side comes out, and Julia looks like she's going to upset Sheida and get the win here. But Sheida, though, decides to return the favor and starts to overpower Julia. But Sheida sets her up, and Julia rakes the eyes, and then goes to the top rope, but Sheida moves and hits the Tamashi, followed by the Falcon Arrow, and gets the win. After the match, Deeb tries to jump Sheida, but Sheida she knows it's coming, and they stand off with weapons in hand. For my WGR scale, I gave this a great. There is so much going on here. One, we're continuing on the Sheida Deeb situation, while also we are getting a more of this Julia Hart. I'm very, very excited for that. We then get Swerve Strickland talking about being at the Grammys and winning for his work on the Kanye album. But he hasn't forgotten about being put through a table. He leaves, but he's followed by Team Taz as they beat him down. Keith Lee comes in to make the save and sends Hobbs crashing through a wall to the other locker room. For my WTR scale, I gave this a great. This was fantastic. Oh, I loved it. We then get our main event, the Ring of Honor and AAA Tag Team Championships. The FTR defending against the Young Bucks. This is the second match between these two teams, and if anything, it is more important than last time, as it is for two sets of World Tag Team Championships. The mind games start right away as the Bucks toss their jackets at FTR, and these are two of the best tag teams in the world, if not ever. They certainly are in my top 10, topped out by the Hardys, and you can fight me on that all you want. These two teams couldn't be more different, with FTR loving the classic style of tag team wrestling, and the Bucks are one of the reasons the new age of tag team wrestling even exists. We start out slow, and it looks like the calm before the storm as both teams start to pick up the pace and cheat respectively. The great thing about having two teams that are both heels, well, over with the crowd, you can really blur the lines of who the heel and the face of this match is, and it does flip-flop through this almost throughout the match. It's an absolute classic, both teams getting their licks in and making the first match look like almost nothing, but I mean, it really wasn't. These two teams leave it all out there, with FTR even getting some aerial offense in. It's so hard to keep up with what's going on. It's just boom, boom, boom after another. The Bucks even cheat, but the match still goes on. The Bucks hit the BTE trigger and Knox counts 3, but notices the foot on the ropes, and after he reverses his decision, the match continues. FTR then clears the ring and hit a BTE trigger of their own, followed by the big rig for the win. They retain both of their tag titles, and for my WTR scale, I gave this a great. This was such a great match. And that is all for this episode. So for that episode of Dynamite, for the overall, I gave it a great. They did. I think that was probably one of the better shows of the year so far. My segment of the night, I give it to the Jamie Hayter Tony Storm segment. While it didn't feel like much, I'm excited to see where that's going because I love both of them. Match of the night, I gave to the main event. That was definitely the most hard-hitting match. But for my performers of the night, I give it to the Hardys because they just left it all out there. But that is all for this episode of Walking the Ropes Wrestling Review. Thank you all for dropping in. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notifications whenever we upload a video. And I'll see you in the next one.